Today we continue with our class Shabbos Kitchen. Today is class number 3. And we start with Sefer Shmiras Haloshon. Today's topic is silence the gossipmonger. If it is a proven fact that to restrain oneself from speaking and listening to Lashon Hara is difficult for only the first few weeks, as others come to realize that the individual will not speak or listen to Lashon Hara, mockery or other forbidden speech, they will refrain from relating such a talk to him and will peddle their wares elsewhere. So that's a very important statement to know and actually to practice. You go to a new place, and you don't know people, and they try to speak Lashon Hara or other forbidden speech. So you just, I tell them I'm not interested. You tell them to stop, basically. So after a few times, they're going to stop bothering you. Guarantee. I mean, if you're not going to answer, if you say I'm not interested to listen, so I mean there is no customer for them. Okay, continue. They will come to understand that such a talk does not raise their esteem in in immense eyes. To the contrary, he considered them nothing more than gossipmongers and scorners. Okay, so they consider us whatever they want, but they would walk away. That's the goal. He will hardly have a guard himself from hearing Lashon Hara. For the gossipmongers themselves will avoid telling their stories in his presence, lest they belittle their words before others who are present, which is good. Okay. What is needed is the initial firm resolve to acquire this sacred quality, meaning to tell them off. I'm not interested. Regarding such. Sorry. What is needed is the initial firm resolve to acquire this sacred quality. Regarding such a scriptural striving, do our sages say, one who reflects upon his ways in this world merits and sees salvation from the Holy One, blessed be He. Moed Katan 5a. Meaning, one more time, let's read and explain. One who reflects upon his ways, who thinks maybe I'm going to offend that person, maybe he's going, he's going to get a little offended. So it's better for him to get a little offended than speak Lashon Hara, than me being the cause of him speaking Lashon Hara. Right? So if I'm not listening to him. Okay, so let's stop here. Continue to our Shabbos kitchen. And let's see what we are up to. So we're talking about cooking. Okay. The Halachos of cooking. And we said, let me read the summary that we said last time, so we have just refresh our minds. So it says, any action that causes food to cook more quickly is itself considered act of cooking. So even more quickly, it's still act of cooking. This includes moving pot closer to the flame. Okay. B, removing some of the pot contents. So we said that if we're going to remove, it's going to cook faster for sure. Stirring the food in a pot, right? So whatever is on the bottom is usually more cooked than things on top, of course. So you stir it. Then covering the pot. So of course the temperature rises, cooks faster. And the last one is closing an oven door. Okay. So part number 5. In this section, we'll deal with the loss of reheating foods that have been fully cooked and then cooled off. That's very interesting, right? So, meaning if you are allowed to, and what you're allowed to take from refrigerator, let's say, put it on the blech. Okay. The Melacha of cooking does not apply to all instances of reheating food. There is a great difference between solid, dried foods and liquids with regard to reheating. This section refers only to fully cooked food that cooled off. Partially cooked foods may never be reheated, since the increase in their degree of edibility is always violation of Melacha of cooking. So one more time. So if we can reheat, right, only things, let's say on Shabbos morning, only things that were completely cooked, right? And we're going, okay, or it does not have to be on Shabbos morning. Let's say they took soup. Let's say they had soup on the blech on Friday night. Let's say, right? They took soup, they ate, and the question is whether or not they can put it back on the blech. That's the question. One thing, and second thing that we said here, there's a big difference, right? A big difference whether food is dry, solid food, right? Dry, solid foods, and liquids. Okay, so let's start. Reheating dry cooked food. So one more time, we can reheat only completely 100% cooked food. If it's not 100% cooked, we're not allowed to reheat it. A dry food that has been completely cooked is not subject to Melacha of cooking. This rule is known as there is no prohibition cooking that which has already been cooked. Okay, so there is no cooking that which has been already cooked. No cooking after cooking. Right? An example would be called pre-cooked noodle from which the water has been drained. So there is no water completely, right? Or rice, also no water. In essence, then, it would be permissible to fully reheat the cooked noodles. So completely, you can make them even very hot. There is no problem. However, there is a rabbinic prohibition to place even fully cooked food directly on a fire on Shabbos, or even on a hot blech. So let's try to understand. First of all, we said before that the flame must be covered, and it has to be covered with what? With blech. Blech is a sheet of metal, right? That that we put on all of the four burners. I mean, you can have a smaller blech; it's your business. But if you have the bigger ones, so you can put more things at the same time to warm up. So even on the blechs, rabbinic decree, they say even on the blech you're not allowed to return this completely cooked food. As for example, we're going to use this noodle example. Reheating solid foods is therefore permitted only by indirect methods. These methods will be described in chapter 4. Okay, so we're going to get to it. So even on the blech, you're not allowed by rabbinic decree to put completely cooked food. Like the pre-cooked noodles mentioned above, food is considered dry when there is no visible liquid on the food. However, if after warming up the food, some liquid oozes out, it is still considered dry food. For example, the example of this would be a fully cooked piece of meat. Okay, so if you try to warm up this completely cooled and cooked piece of meat, it's going to be something like inside, right? Some gravy inside. If it has gravy, we're not allowed to warm that now. But if something like was absorbed inside, now it came out, there is no problem. Okay. So continue. It was A, B. rebaking food. Baked food are also not subject to Melacha of rebaking. So it's not recooking, as we said, it's rebaking. What does it mean? Due to the principle, there is no prohibition of baking that which has been already been baked. Thus, baked goods may be reheated on Shabbos. However, due to the rabbinic prohibition of placing even completely cooked food directly on fire, these two may be only reheated indirectly. Thus, placing baked challah in a hot oven when the fire is no longer lit, or placing on the top of the urn or a crack pot would be permitted. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says. So, as we said, there is no cooking after cooking. And here we see that our sages separate baking and cooking, because those are two separate methods. So bake, where we bake usually in the oven, or as we said, we can bake. Is it in a frying pan? Also, it's going to be baking, as we said before. And cooking, when we say cooking usually it's meaning using liquid water, right? So basically, we have to reheat the same way that it was cooked last. So meaning last, meaning that it could be cooked in several stages. For example, some people, they would they cook noodles and they would fry them after they were cooked, right? Fried almost without oil, so it is actually frying and not cooking. Okay. So one more time. So challah. So it's very interesting. I think it's a very good idea to warm up the challah. Right, so and as we said, we can put it only indirectly to the source of heat, as they say. If you turn off your oven, right, your stove, you can put it inside. For example, the best example would be Friday night. So, for example, you finish cooking, there is still like hot oven. You put there challah, you close the door, and after I don't know how many minutes. 20 minutes, 30 minutes is still, you're going to get a fresh challah, warm challah at least. Okay, and or they say on top of hot urn. I'm not sure. I mean, it's such a good insulation. I'm not sure why would he say that. Crack pot. Okay, should be permitted. Or there are other ways how to warm up challah, and we're going to discuss later on all the details. C, baking or roasting a cooked item. Okay, so now we're going into a different category. Baking and cooking are two distinct methods of improving the quality of food. A food that has been cooked does not have quality of one that was baked, nor does the baked item have the character of that one cooked. Okay. Similarly, foods that have, so basically when we cook in general terms, cook or bake, initially the product, right, and then when you want to improve the product, so you might use the different methods. So as for example, we said with the noodles, first we cook them and then we fry them. So two distinct methods, and you need to fry it in order to improve it, right? So that's the thing. So they say you cannot mix these two methods. So one more time, a food that has been cooked does not have the qualities of the one that was baked, nor does a baked item have the character of the cooked one. Similar foods that have been cooked have a different character than food that have been roasted. Therefore, although there is no prohibition of recooking a cooked item, right, meaning the same, recooking cooked item, or rebaking the baked item. So as we said, you can put challah into the oven. Many poskim rule that it is forbidden to bake or roast an item that was cooked. So many poskim say if it was cooked, you cannot. So what does it mean? So, for example, if a piece of chicken was cooked, right? So you cannot put it in an oven to warm up. That's, I think it's that's the example, right? Roast cooked. In this new as this is new improvement, is significant enough to be considered Melachah. So because the character of the food changes with our warming methods, or with what we will warm up. So that's they say it's already Melachah. Thus, we may say there is a prohibition of baking that which has been cooked, and there is a prohibition of roasting which one has been baked. Okay, so there is a note. Let's read note, and we're going to explain. As mentioned above, roasting is accomplished only in a place of intense heat, such a hot blech. Okay, so that would be a roasting on a hot blech directly. It is permissible to warm up cooled food on top of the pot that is on a blech, or of the side of the blech where it is not intensely hot. For this area are not enough to qualify the roasting. So they actually, I mean, we're going to discuss in the next chapters, but since they mention in the notes, so we're going to explain. So the way how do we warm up the food? So we have blech, you have stove, you have blech covering the stove, and then on the top of the blech, they say put invert vessel. It could be a pot, cooking pot, so you put upside down, right, with the top up, right? And on that top, you can put your containers with whatever food you want to warm up. So it's 100% indirect, and that's what we do. Or what we do, and as I know many other people do, in order not to put the whole pot, right? It's a little too much, so they put these aluminum containers, right? They, like, I don't know, what is it, 3 inches, 4 inches tall, and that's works very well. If you need more, like a higher one, you can just buy whatever you want. You put it upside down, and it's usually strong enough. I mean, if you don't have too much food in there, so and it's going to hold the food. Okay. So that's what we call indirect warming up. Okay, so because as we said, if you put that directly on the blech, it's going to be cooking and roasting. Plus, it's roasting. Example: chicken boiled in a soup or gravy is considered cooked item. Okay, so everything with liquid, as we said before, is cooked. Even if it's fried, deep fried, right? It's still cooked. If the pot is removed from the blech and the soup is poured off, one may not replace it on a pot of dried chicken on the blech, as this would constitute roasting. Okay. An improvement to the food not realized before. So basically, they have a food, they have a soup. In a soup, they have soup, and there was a piece of chicken. So now they cannot just put in another dry container to warm up this piece of chicken. Why? Because it has all of the liquid, and it was cooked before, and now you're trying to warm up in a different way, which is not allowed. Okay, but there is a way around that we're going to see. We're going to discuss now or not? I'm not sure. So let's see. If they're not going to discuss, we're going to explain what is the solution to all of this. Next one, D. Cooking a baked or roast item. So first it was baked, or then want to cook it. So based on the premise that cooking, roasting, and baking are distinct improvements over one another, many poskim rule that cooking in liquid, an item that was originally baked, or roasting is also prohibited, right? There is a prohibition of cooking that which has been baked, and there is a prohibition of cooking that which has been roasted. So basically, if you have like very hot soup and you have croutons, like they're going to and they are baked. If you made them like you made it by yourself, you dried the bread, right, and you cut it in squares, you put it in your soup, so it's for sure it's baked, and they're going to get cooked in your hot soup. That's the problem. Accordingly, it's not permitted to put bread or matzah into a pot of hot water or soup, since this would be considered cooking baked item. Okay, bread or matzah, okay, which is forbidden. The specific application of this rule is discussed in chapter 3. Okay, so one of the very important conditions, as we said before, for cooking, the liquid in there must be above Yatz Ledes bowl. Yatz Ledes bowl when the hand recoils. So if it's below, it's not going to get cooked. Okay. So continue next. Cooking a cooked item that was subsequently baked or roasted. One more time. Cooking a cooked item that was subsequently baked or roasted. Okay. Many poskim rule that if an item was cooked and afterwards it was roasted or baked, it is permitted to recook it. For example, some instant coffee have produced by cooking the beans and then are dried through the roasting. Thus, by making a cup of coffee on Shabbos, one is recooking the coffee that was roasted after first was cooked, and therefore it is permitted. So it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. So we're talking about only instant coffee. I think that's only instant coffee is made like this. Right, so first they cooked, right? So they grind, they cook, and then they evaporate the water and they roast, and that's how they get this coffee. So basically, when we add into our cup, there's hot water in a cup, so in some sense it's going to cook, but as we said, there is no cooking after cooking, and since the initial process of making this instant coffee was started by cooking. So we say there is no problem. I think that they say another issue with the coffee is that you actually that's how they make paint. So one of the Melachas and that was in Beis HaMikdash. So we were not allowed to make. They were make it dye, right? To dye the skins of the animals and the wool. And that's how they make dye. First, they put dry herbs, and then they put water. So that's why some people they do it opposite. So to be according to all of opinion. So they do it in a second cup. So meaning in third vessel, and they put first water, and they put coffee and sugar. That would be according to all of the opinions. Okay. So continue, summary. Completely cooked, roasted, or baked solid foods may be reheated in the manner in which they were originally prepared. There is cooking a cooked item and baking a baked item. So one more time, the way it was prepared, you must reheat it. However, one may not place an item directly on a flame or a blech. So one more time, only after, like on top of inverted vessel, or some other indirect way. Okay. It is forbidden to reheat any food in a manner not previously employed. Therefore, one may not bake a roast or cooked item or cooked in liquid the item originally baked or roasted. So only the way it was baked. So before we continue, I know it's a little confusing. It's a lot of information. So the solution to all of this, It's very simple and straightforward. So we go by the last status of this food before Shabbos started. So if you put everything, whatever you need, on Blech, right? Obviously not directly on Blech, on inverted vessel before Shabbos. So then on Shabbos you are allowed to warm up, because the last status of this food, it was cooked, it was baked. It does not matter what it was. It was on a Blech, so it was last status that was baked forever. So you can warm up the same way. That's it. Very simple. So continue. Part number 6: reheating liquids. So that's what big difference between Ashkenazic approach and Sephardic approach. Okay, so let's read and we explain. Reheating liquids that have been previously cooked is a subject to the much controversy. So it's not like these people have this, Ashkenazic have one Torah, Sephardic brothers have another Torah. No. We have the same Torah, but Chachamim in one day they decided to go by this opinion, and Ashkenazim decided, Chachamim decided to go by more stricter opinion for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's not up to us to decide what is right or what is wrong. We just follow our tradition. Okay. So continue. A. The Paskim rule that cooked liquid that has cooled may not be some Paskim rule that cooked liquids that has cooled may not be reheated. Okay. Some, not everybody. Okay. So if it cooled completely, you cannot reheat. and it's not completely. We're going to see the definition of cool. This reason, the reason for this distinction between liquids and solids is that liquids are not generally cooked for the purpose of altering the quality of the food as solids. I mean, usually liquids you can drink as it is. Right, so meat you cannot eat raw. You need to cook it, or a piece of potatoes, right? But liquids, I mean, water, you can drink water like this, right? You can drink milk, whatever, different liquids. You don't need to cook them. Okay, that's the difference. But for the purpose of warming the liquid, so that there may be enjoyed while hot. So the difference is, so you want to enjoy while it's hot. Like soup, usually people don't eat cold soup. Therefore, once cooled, reheating the liquid is significant improvement and is prohibited. So cooking itself, as we said, is not significant, right? But reheating is. So, for example, this water from soup, this liquid broth, like from soup. I mean, it was water before. You could have run this water by itself, right? And it's not big improvement, but it is improvement when it's hot. So people, as I said, usually would not. I mean, I would not eat. I mean, unless there's no other way, no other choice. But usually people eat soups like when they want, or tea, or coffee, or whatever. Right? Thus, this liquid, with the liquids, the rule is there is a prohibition of cooking that which was already been cooked. So, with liquids, we're going by, it's a stringent opinion, of course, but that's what we abide by. If it was cooked and cooled, we're not allowed to warm it up. Continue. B. The opinion that liquids are like solids. Other poskim do not accept this distinction and rule that the liquids are not different from solids in this respect, and they may be reheated even when completely cooled. So I think Rabbi Vadia sells it also. He goes by this opinion. So basically, if you follow Sephardic custom, you can take the soup from refrigerator and put on a blech, and on top of the inverted vessel, and there is no problem. You can cook it like this.
Question about that?
And according to Ashkenazic tradition, you out. Okay, go ahead.
About this, the question is, can you definitively warm up water for tea on Shabbos, assuming it may be equivalent to warm up soup according to Sephardic custom?
Yeah, if it was cooked water,
yes,
not fresh water. If it's cooked, it's cooled off, you want to put it on the stove, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So according to Ashkenazic tradition, so like if you take out, let's say Shabbos morning, you take a pot, right, and you have I don't know, whatever you have there, rice. When you take lid from the pot, right, it's always condensate, right? There is like drops of water, so you're not allowed to put it on top of the blech. So what we do, we take napkin, right, and we wipe all of this visible. We don't go crazy, but at least visible, or we just transfer to dry container. So that's another solution. So we not even drop smallest drops of water we're going to cook.
I was wondering the same about the droplets of water.
Yeah, that's what we do. And same is with the tea, as we said. We were discussing before. So you take this what is it? This cup, pour water from the urn, and then you put in a third cup. No, second cup. Second. It's a third vessel. Urn is first one. Cup is a second, and the second cup is the third vessel. So you put there, you make whatever you need to make. You make coffee, let's say, in that cup. But the first cup, after the first use, would have a few droplets, right? So they would cool off. So even though they were cooked, so according to this, we're not allowed to cook even after it was cooked. So some people are trying to be very careful, and they would wipe this cup dry before they use it again.
But the question was if how to serve food on Shabbos. I mean, with the dish close to the blech, or taking out the pot out of the blech and going with the pot.
Exactly. It's I'm not sure. It's next chapter. Immersing. No. Okay. It's not the next chapter, but we're going to get to it in details. Yes. Reheating. So okay. So it's actually number 4. So we're in number 2 and 3, and then 4. We're going to discuss what we said in details.
Okay, but
basically, it is that's the procedure. You take it completely, because why taking completely? We already discussed last time. So when you take out some food, so it looks like that you accelerate the cooking. You understand? So from people who see you, like they have no idea. So we have many times we have people over for Shabbos, and some people, they have no idea. I mean, they're not very knowledgeable in Shabbos law. So if we're going to start taking food from pot that is on the blech, so they would think that it is allowed to cook on Shabbos. How do they know it's ready? You understand? So maybe part is ready, we take it from the bottom, and we say the stirring is not allowed because it's accelerate the cooking. So we take completely, put it on the table, you still hold it by the handle, you have still in the mind that I want to return, and while it's still warm, you serve to everybody, close the lid, and put it back while it's still warm. So that's a permissible way, and that's very practical. So one more time. So that's the difference between Ashkenazic tradition and Sephardic tradition. So Sephardic tradition, there is no problem. They say there is no cooking. They go by this second opinion, right? The opinion is they actually say that liquids and solids, there is no difference in the heating. Okay, continue. Okay, so continue. In practice, the restringent view is followed. So one more time, we're talking about Ashkenazic tradition. So before that, I think everything is the same. Therefore, one may not reheat liquid once they have cooled completely. So we need the definition of completely, right? However, if they have only partially cooled and still warm enough to be suitable for a warm drink, whatever is it, right? Then they may be reheated to a higher temperature. Since they are still warm, reheating is not significantly improved. So, for example, soup. Sometimes when I eat soup, I'd like it a little hotter. I mean, I would eat it like that. So if I'm in a rush or this or that, so I would eat it like that. But I would prefer a little hotter. So if I have time, I'm not very lazy, let's say. So I would reheat it for another 2 minutes. This soup. So is it a significant improvement? Okay, it's improvement for me, but technically I would eat the way it was. But if it was cold, like cold soup, I would not eat it, for example, right? So that's why they say if you would eat it anyway, and most of the people, so we don't go by individual opinion, but if most of the people would consider this as a warm soup, right, or warm drink, or warm whatever, right, warm tea, right? So I would prefer a little hotter tea, but this is also sufficient. So then you're allowed to warm up. Again, we're talking about Ashkenazi tradition. If it's cooled to completely, too much, so we're not allowed to put it back to reheat. If one is currently reheated, cooled, cooked a liquid, that is by placing it on the top of the pot, that is on the fire, he may nevertheless derive benefit from the liquid. So, okay, so since we have this opinion that would allow us to drink this liquid that was completely cooked, right? So after the fact, b'diavad, so the outside is allowed. See chapter 3 for these proper methods of warming up the liquids on Shabbos. So it's next chapter. Okay. As noted in the case of the solid foods, the rabbinic prohibition of to place foods directly on a flame or a blech. So one more time, there is no difference whatsoever. So you cannot put things on a blech directly. So we have to put on a pot, inverted pot, or inverted aluminum container. So I mean, if it's soup, of course, it's going to crush this aluminum container. It's not going to fly, right? So, or another solution, what people do, that's what we do. If we make a stew, right? So if we leave this pot from the beginning of Shabbos, so there is no problem. So from the beginning of Shabbos, before the Shabbos begins, sorry, and so it can stay on the blech. There is no problem whatsoever. But once you remove it, that's it, right? So I mean, that's the idea. It's not for usually not for a Friday night. It's usually for the next day, right? Okay. So continue. One more time, the last sentence. As noted in the case of the solid foods, there is a rabbinic prohibition to place foods directly on the blech, directly on the fire or blech. Thus, even the warm liquid may not be placed on the blech, and certainly not over the fire. So the fire must be covered 100%. The proper methods of reheating is described in chapter 4. Okay. So in some cases, there is no room to put the blech on top of like inverted vessel on top of the blech. So example would be a crack pot, right? So in crack pot we just put blech. So blech would be like piece of aluminum foil, right? You put it, you line on the bottom, and it's going to be separation. So you remind yourself, I'm not cooking. I'm today's Shabbat, basically. Of course, there is no room to put there anything else. Okay. Summary: cooked liquids that have been cooled may not be reheated on Shabbos. So Sephardic tradition goes by second opinion. They say they do. Okay. However, while still warm, they may be reheated to a higher temperature, but not directly on a flame or a blech. So if it's still warm, according to Ashkenazi tradition, you can put it on top of the inverted vessel, and there is no problem. You can, if it's still warm. Any questions on what we said?
Yeah.
We finish this second chapter. Okay,
about the Ashkenazi custom of water. If we have a boiled teapot of water and we take it out and it's still warm, can we return it to the
Yeah.
Blech
Yes.
directly on the Blech?
No, not directly. That's the thing. So even though it was, I hear a question. It was if you put it before Shabbat started, there was no problem whatsoever. But now you cannot put it directly on the Blech, only on the inverted vessel.
Oh.
So, but you're right. But if it's hot, I mean that's what people was used to do in the olden days. I mean, they didn't have all of these gadgets that we do now. All this electronics, right? That's what they used to do. They put this tea kettle, right, with a hot water. Okay. So chapter number 3, and it's very interesting chapter. Is all of them. Immersing foods in hot vessels. Introduction. The prohibition of bishul is cooking, right? The prohibition of bishul does not apply only to the cooking over the flame or direct source of heat. Rather, immersing food in hot water can also cause it to become cooked. Likewise, so I mean, if you have a raw, I don't know, a raw piece of I don't know, let's see, even a raw piece of meat, right? A chicken, no, meat, no, but chicken, right? Raw piece of chicken, right? And if you put in a soup that is on top of the fire, or even if you not on top of the blech, on top of the inverted vessel, even if you take it out of the flame, so this liquid is so hot. If you put a piece of chicken, let's say very thin, it's going to get cooked, 100%. So that's what we're talking about. So even hot liquids, of course, they can cook. So one more time. Rather, immersing foods in hot water can also cause it become cooked. Likewise, inserting food into empty heated pot can cause it become cooked, even if the pot is not on a flame. So basically, so the example would be they took the pot with soup, right, from the blech, from the top of the inverted vessel, and they pour soup out somewhere. Okay, they said they serve the food, but this pot is very hot. It's very, very hot, right? So if you put inside whatever you put inside and close the lid, the thing can cook, right, from the walls of the vessel. It's very hot inside. Additionally, solid foods that are still in the vessel in which they were cooked can cook anything that come into contact with them. These methods of cooking are also included in the prohibition. Okay, so let's. I mean, of course, they're going to explain all of this, but let's try to understand what we're talking about. So first one is immersing food into the liquid, can cook that food. Then we said immersing food into empty container, or not immersing, but putting the food into the empty container, which is hot, also can cook the food. And the third examples that we gave here, if some solid foods, right? Solid meaning piece of meat, right? You have piece of meat. So in its empty container, in which it was cooked, if you put something on top of this meat, this something, some other food is going to get cooked, because meat and other solids they preserve heat inside, and they do not release it very easily as liquids. Okay, so let's see, continue. This aspect of the Melacha covers many activities routinely performed in the kitchen. For instance, mixing coffee with hot water, right? Or adding seasoning to hot foods can involve violation of the Melacha. So meaning that something is going to get cooked. Basically, you're not allowed to add salt into the pot, into your own plate, into your own bowl. There is no problem. Plate, whatever. There is no problem. There are many similar activities may be performed only within the guidelines we will now delineate. Okay, so it's not So whatever we learn, I mean, it's a lot of information, but maybe if you review it afterwards, maybe 1 or 2 times, it would be also beneficial. So let's see. Part number 2, the 3 grades of vessels. Hot liquids, there is above Yatzaledasbo, which 110 degrees Fahrenheit. In this instance, I'm not sure. What did we say? Was it in Celsius? Did we say it's 70 degrees on Celsius? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, approximately. All right.
Approximately.
So, approximately. Okay, 70. Okay, so basically when you hand recoils, that's the definition, there is still in the pot. So one more time, hot liquids, there is above Yatzaledasbo, that are still in a pot in which they were heated, are capable of cooking any items immersing them. So I mean the soup, our soup is getting colder, but it still have potential to cook if you put there raw food, even after the pot was removed from the fire. So if it's an original pot, first condition, and its temperature is above Yatzaledasbo, it's not in the fire, doesn't matter, it's going to get cooked. Okay, I mean, if it's on the fire, it's a different story. Okay, so continue. However, once once the hot liquid has been transferred into second cold container, so from one pot you pour soup into the second pot, right? The walls of the container begin cooling the liquid, and thereby reduce the capacity to cook. So you put from one pot, the original that was on an inverted vessel that was in a blech, you took it out and you pour all of the contents in another pot, clean dry pot, right? So the walls of this dry pot, they already cooled down, or is going to cool down the liquid, our soup. Why? Because that's the physical characteristics of the metal, right? It's good conductor. Right? Continue. So it would conduct the heat. If the liquid is transferred to a third vessel, so now we pour it in a third pot vessel, the capacity to cook further diminishes. So the many times we transfer from one to another, even as we said, even the temperature is the same. I mean, for some time, right? It does not drop so drastically right away. So the third vessel already cannot cook as much, as strong. Therefore, with regard to the halachos of cooking, vessels are classed in 3 categories. So I'm sure that you heard it if you learn about this halachos. So it's clearly shown. Clearly shown is the first vessel. So it's clearly shown is a vessel in which the food was cooked, the original one, right? Kli sheni, second vessel, and kli shlishi, third vessel. So if you're talking about coffee, let's talk about coffee. So kli rishon, it would be our ordinary or tea kettle, right? Kli sheni would be the first cup that you pour in the water, and kli rishon would be the third vessel. Okay. 1 second. How much you can do. Continue. Simply continue. Okay, 3 types of vessels. So let's see. First vessel, kli rishon. So okay, definition. A kli rishon is a vessel that was heated directly on a flame or other source of heat, such as electric coil. Okay. When removed from the flame, the hot pot retains the capacity to cook anything placed inside it. So if it was on a source of heat, I think even if it was on a blech, it does not make a difference. Okay, anything that placed inside it. So first vessel can cook whatever you put it inside. Hot liquids that are still in the vessel in which they were heated also have the power to kli rishon. Hot liquids that are still in the vessel in which they were heated also have a power of Rishon and are capable of cooking any item immersed in them. So if you put something in a soup, it's going to get cooked. Right? By the same token, solid foods in a Rishon, in the first vessel, Rishon first vessel, there is a vessel in which they were cooked. Will cook anything that comes in contact with them. So liquids and solids, in this case, it's, they say it doesn't make any difference. This capacity to cook remains until the pot and the contents cool below the temperature Yad Saladasbo. So if it's original container, in what it was cooked, right, in which it was the food was cooked, in this case, so I want to emphasize, there is no difference whether it's liquid or it's solid. It's going to cook whatever is going to come into contact with it. Okay, so continue. B, second vessel, Kli Sheni. Second vessel. A Kli Sheni is a vessel to which the contents of Kli Rishon have been transferred. Generally speaking, the term Kli Sheni is used in reference to the hot contents of the vessel rather than the vessel itself. Okay, so let's finish and we're going to explain. Although the heat of the food or the liquid in a Kli Sheni is not as intense as the food at Kli Rishon, with the most foods, we observe the prohibition of cooking, even with regard to Kli Sheni. Okay. Okay, so now we're talking about Kli Sheni, second vessel. So we say if so when we say second vessel, so it's very interesting to note that they say we're not talking about different pot. We're talking about the contents of the first pot that is hot, that is capable of cooking, right? That is hotter than Yad Salada's bowl. That's what we care about, not the second pot, right? Okay. So now from the original pot where the food was cooked, we transfer to the second pot. And in some sense, Ashkenazi tradition goes that in many aspects we compare, since we do not know, we're not sure. I mean, especially in regards to the in regards to the solids. So we equate in many cases first vessel to the second vessel. So it does not make any difference. That's why we make all the tea and coffee in a third vessel, never in a second vessel. Okay. So continue. Third vessel, Kli Shlishi. A Kli Shlishi is a vessel to which the contents of the Kli Sheni have been transferred, have been further transferred. So it's third vessel. From one original pot, they pour to another pot, and now to a third pot. Right? Once moved to a Kli Sheni, hot food or liquids lose most of the capacity to cook. However, some foods cook so easily that they may not be placed even in Kli Shlishi. Okay, so let's try to understand. So when, according to the majority of the Paskim, they say that the third vessel, they're not going to cook, most likely because the temperature is dropping. But it depends what food we are talking about. Right, and plus there are foods, some foods where we're going to see what kind of food they cooked very easily, like in a few seconds they're already cooked. Okay, we're going to see. So part number 3, Halachos of Kli Rishon. Okay, A, foods may not be placed in a Kli Rishon. Okay, period. Foods may not be placed in a Kli Rishon. The heat of the Kli Rishon, so Kli Rishon in a original pot, in which it was cooked, is an extremely potent means of cooking. Therefore, the laws of cooking are no difference with respect to Kli Rishon, that is with any conventional source of heat. So Even though, as we said, we remove from the heat, from the blech, from the fire, from whatever we remove it, it's so hot, so it doesn't matter. You put it on an open flame, or you put it inside of this pot. No uncooked food or drink may be put inside of the Rishon. Very simple. Because why? As we said, it's going to get cooked. Even after the Rishon is removed from the source of heat. Even after the Rishon is removed from the source of heat. So, of course, I mean, it's not in source of heat. And that's the problem. I would say the practical problem. When people have a cholent, right, and they see the burning, for whatever reason it is burning, and they put the tap water, add tap water into this crack pot. I saw it like few times. Like I was dumbfounded. Of course, we're not allowed to do that because, as we said, it's going to cook. It's primary vessel. Okay. So if you put hot water, like boiling water, if you have some boiling water, it's a different story. But not cold water, which is not cool. Okay. So continue. No uncooked food or drink may be put inside of Rishon. Uncooked food. Okay. Even after the Rishon is removed from the source of heat. If Rishon contains hot food or liquid, it is forbidden to immerse any cooked item inside it. So as we said, so now when we say Rishon, it means empty. So even in empty pot, you cannot put things, right? Because why? Because walls are still hot. Or if it has liquid, whatever it has, so this liquid is going to cook whatever you put in there. For example, one may not add any uncooked seasoning. See practical application, for example. So if uncooked seasoning, all of this, all of these herbs that you have there uncooked, they will just dried and that's it, right? To a pot or a hot soup. Okay. Even after the pot has been removed from the source of heat, because the heat of the soup will cook the seasoning, 100%, right? The prohibition of cooking continues until the Rishon, and its contents cool below the temperature of Yatzel Adasbo. So if it's below Yatzel Adasbo, so now you can use it. Otherwise, you're not allowed to put there any uncooked food. So uncooked food, I would think like primarily would be seasoning if it's soup or something. Right? So let's check time. You know what? Let's stop here. Okay, so let's stop here. I think we should next time start from the same section of Halachos Rishon. Okay, I'm going to explain it one more time. All right. So, any questions on this subject? Any subject? Go ahead, please. If you have.
Can you? I give the example later, but can you destroy your DNA?
How you destroy DNA?
For example, you have a rest of skin for whatever reason. For example, sometimes you have lips that are too dry, and pieces of skin gets out of it, of the lips, and then you drop these leftovers, for example, on the stove, and they are going to burn. Is something of concern?
I don't think so, no. But since you're talking, I want to take your example, and I'm going to tell you what is it concern. So you're not allowed to bite your lips like a dry lip on Shabbos. That would be 100% forbidden. Same as we have discussed it. I'm not sure, or we did. I'm not sure. Don't remember. So since it's something that attached to a person, right? So we're not allowed to to take to remove. And when we were talking about the nails, sorry, about the nails, we said we cannot cut it with a scissors or clipper. Right, that would be the rabbinic biblical prohibition. But if somebody bites the nails, it would be rabbinical prohibition. But the skin from the lip, that's everybody bites off. Nobody take scissors and cut it off.
Nails will be a better example. If I wonder if it's something bad to drop them to the fire, for example.
No, there is no problem. I mean, you can throw it to the garbage. So of course you can burn it. There is no problem.
Okay.
Any other questions?
About I had one about the
Go ahead.
of the cooking because you have the blech. It's very hot and sometimes you when making tea, I don't have in my case much space to work to do the tea. And droplets of water may fall into the blech and evaporate.
Oh, that's wow. That's
Is that a whole violation of the Shabbos when you?
I mean, usually it's not intentional. Usually, so I mean, just try to be careful not to put too much water in whatever you do. So, but usually it's not intentional. Yes.
Okay.
That's it. Any other questions? Okay, so let's stop here then. And Beezrat HaShem, we do it tomorrow. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.